Well, here we are. Oh, no. Last year has gone by pretty fast.
I guess so.
Feb 15th. The 15th annual BIAM PDX Jazz Festival, presented by Cascade Celebrity International. It's great to have you all here tonight on opening night. We have a lot of people to thank. Tonight's concert sponsor is The Standard. Of course, KMHD, Music Millennium, David Machado Restaurants, and all the people who help us keep the lights on year-round. We have a big festival in store for you, 11 days, about 100 events. We're going to be here 8 nights. And also after the festival, on April 21st, as part of Jazz Appreciation Month, we're bringing back Cecile McLaurin-Salvant, 2-time Grammy Award winner, with our friends at Sold Out Music Productions, right in the middle of their annual festival. I also want to thank our members who help us year-round, as well as the PDX Jazz Board, and all of you out there. And right now, I want to bring out last year's Portland Jazz Master, the one and only Mel Brown.
Thank you. I look around this building here and I start thinking, this is where I went to high school.
Yeah.
Good old Washington High School. And to look at all the areas, especially upstairs, because I used to, I was a jock. So all the lettermen had their letterman sweaters on. And we were the Order of W. And what we would do with any kids who would get out of line, snatch them, hey, let me take you to the office. If you don't shut up, there's a show going on. So it's nice to be here to see what's going on. And I appreciate you coming out and listening to the music, and especially supporting jazz, because, when I used to play here in high school, we weren't playing jazz. We were playing the popular music at the time. And I always wanted to play jazz, and I was kind of like an old soul. So most of the kids that I played in the band with here, they were doing something by one of the pop groups out of LA. And I was playing at strip clubs. Seriously, it was called the Mural Room. Some of you now know it as the Jazz Quarry. And I used to get in a lot of trouble because we had floor shows, and after the dancer would get off and the comedian would come out and do the bit and the singer would sing something, I'd look out and I'd see English teacher, social studies teacher, math teacher. So needless to say, you get to school, and when you work 6 nights a week behind strippers, you're a little tired early in the morning when you get off at 2:30. So if I nodded off, Mr. Ashburn would say, don't know about it. But I wanted to thank you again for coming out and hearing this music that you're going to hear tonight, because it's very important that the young people get a chance to find out where this stuff came from. It's like building a house. Nowadays, you buy a machine and you want to start on the 2nd floor. You got to get the foundation together first. And that's what you're going to hear here with this orchestra. And the nice thing about it is, back in the 80s when I met Art Abrams, he said, Mel, I'm going to do a thing with the big band. Now, you know how hard it is to keep a big band together? It was bad enough keeping a trio and a quartet together. But he persevered, and you can always learn something. So if you get a chance, check out his show, because he's always got plenty of good information to tell you who the artists were, listen to what you have to listen to the way the phrasing was done. And he always had a way of just teaching you. Because here at Washington High School, we did not have jazz. We had a marching band, and they had a pep band, but that was it. So I had to find myself out in the street as far as jazz. But Art was telling me, as we talked earlier, that he had the jazz history class when he was in high school. They got a chance to get all of that down there. So with you being here, please instruct your little ones to try to listen to some jazz. They don't have to stop what they're doing. They just turn on Art's show up, KMHD. They'll learn something from that. And if you were in my age bracket and you get your Art card, then you can always stop saying, I wish I could have played saxophone in high school. I would buy a horn and find one of these guys here in the band to be your teacher. So you can always say, I did it rather than I wish I could have. So don't go there with that. Pick up your horn again, or play the piano, or do something, but just start playing some music again. You'll live a lot longer. Trust me. You'll be a lot happier, but start playing again. So with that said, I'd like to say that it's a pleasure for me to be able to introduce the new jazz master of this year. And thank God for him. He's kept the music alive because of his show and keeping the band together. But also the other two performers working with his band. Barbara, who I never got a chance to work with, and then the singer Ernie Andrews. Now, Ernie they're the consummate performers. And I used to do a couple of little tours with a friend of mine, or a friend of ours, fellow. Leroy Vinegar was one of the people that we used to do the singing. But the main guy, he was a saxophone player, his name was Teddy Edwards. And we'd be on the road doing our stuff, and Ernie would always make fun of me because we were talking about what good golfers we're going to be. And he would talk about me so bad. He said, "Look at him, Teddy, look at him. He's moving his head too quick. He's coming through. He's swinging through. He ain't no golfer." And we'd be on the road just talking plenty of smack. But he's somebody you're going to really, really enjoy. So please get ready for a nice surprise. And before I get down, because I got to go to work, I am very happy to say that Marcia Hocker, what a wonderful lady, and I want to congratulate her with the award that she's going to be getting this year. And this is for an old guy that I used to throw newspapers near his business named McClendon, and also a place called Jimmy Mac's. So it's the McClendon Makarounis Award for Jazz Education. And Marcia she's the best. So with that said, I'm going to give it back to Don, and you guys enjoy yourself. Oh, this is going to be so good.
Mel Brown. Mel has passed the torch and recognized art, and now the city of Portland recognizes art. Whereas Art Abrams is a local jazz master and a mainstay in Portland's thriving jazz community. And whereas Art grew up listening to jazz and big band music by the bands led by Bird, Dex, and Diz, and later performed at famous Hollywood clubs like Billy Bird's, Jazz City, and the Tiffany Club. Whereas Art spent 2 decades touring across the United States with musicians like Jerry Gray, Charlie Barnett, Les Elgart, Keith Williams, and Buddy Bregman. And whereas Art Abrams moved to Portland in the early 80s and founded the formidable Art Abrams Swing Machine Big Band, performing the music of legendary jazz icons by Duke Ellington, Stan Kenton, and Frank Sinatra. Whereas Art has brought world-renowned musicians and performers to Portland for the annual PDX Jazz Festival, including Janice Siegel, Kurt Elling, and Portland's own Rebecca Kilgore. And whereas for 34 years, KMHD radio listeners have heard Art's familiar voice on Jukebox Saturday Night and Art's Jazz Summit, and whereas Portland is richer from our jazz heritage and for legendary musicians like Art Abrams, now therefore, I, Ted Wheeler, Mayor of the City of Portland, Oregon, the City of Roses, do hereby proclaim February 15, 2018, to be Day of Appreciation for Portland Jazz Master Art Abrams in Portland, and encourage all residents to observe this day. Art Abrams, 2018 Portland Jazz Master.
Thank you. This is not my thing. I am really nervous, you know. I love to just be in the band, lead the band. Well, if I deserve any credit at all, it's the fact that I handpicked the band. These are some of the important, there's only 16 of a tremendous amount of great jazz musicians living in this town that are not known now, hopefully will be someday. Some of you, you'll see 16 of them here tonight. I will KMHC, the station I'm with, thank you for letting me do my thing. They don't tell me what to play. And in fact, it's a unique station because they don't have a playlist. I'm sure if I play some acid rock, I may not be there very long. We don't play acid rock. But awfully awed at getting this award. This is really not my thing. I'm really speechless. I have to thank a lot of people. You don't get an award like this alone. I have to thank my wife, Yvonne, who, when I think I can walk on water, she tells me I can't. And I try, I almost can. Good friends around me who are here tonight, and all of you for being here. We thank you. And I guess a band that emulates my feelings about jazz. So whatever comes out of this band on our records, that's pretty much me. I just have a wonderful bunch of guys. My job is easy. I just go, it's easy, folks. Go 1, 2, 3, and they do it. They do it. And they do it better than I can tell them. I thank you for being here tonight. You're going to have a great night. An artist who is 90 years old, Ernie Andrews, who's still around. And he comes from we both come from the same territory. He was born in Philadelphia, but LA claims him because he grew up in LA. And I was born in San Francisco. I grew up in Hollywood, went to Hollywood High and all the schools there. But we hung around one place, and it was a fantasy land for young musicians or anybody at all that loved music. It was Central Avenue, which to LA was what Harlem was to New York. And having never been to Harlem, I did travel with some bands through New York, but never got a chance to visit the clubs. These were one-nighters. But Central Avenue, and this is a West Coast theme that we're doing tonight because Barbara's from the West Coast, Ernie's definitely West Coast now. And a lot of the music we do, I grew up with the Art Peppers, Shelly Manne. Central Avenue, the clubs are within walking distance of each other. So if you go to see Dexter Gordon, at that time, I don't recommend this to the youth in here today, but we kind of faked our ID cards. We were 16, 17, you had to be 21 at that time to get into some clubs. And we got into a lot of clubs we probably shouldn't have got into. Saw Art Pepper, saw Slim Gator, saw Dizzy when he came here with Charlie Parker, and it was a big flop. Except for us kids. We love that bebop music. But the older folks, which I am now, couldn't quite comprehend it, so they went back to New York. Charlie stayed here, had a breakdown from the composition that you heard. I forget the place. Somebody knows. Where did he go? To the hospital? Yeah, that's it. And Dizzy went back to New York, became a major hit. At that time, the New Yorkers were pretty much ahead of us. And then there came to be a divide between the groups, West Coast and East Coast. So the West Coast stuff was started by Howard McGee, who was playing another sort of bop in LA clubs. And then the hard bop, which was out of New York. So eventually, West Coast musicians going to New York had a kind of rough, same West Coast, East Coast musicians coming here. And but today, the music is blended. It's great stuff coming out of both areas. The influences are both ways. So, I don't know what else to say about my background. I think Don said quite a bit, but I thank Mel Brown and past recipient. And I thank you for supporting jazz. Do you realize how much great musicians you have in your town? Yeah. You'll see 16 of them here. 16 tonight. These are good musicians. Thank you for supporting jazz, and I thank Don Lukoff and the members of the board for giving me this amazing award. But like I say, you don't get an award by yourself. So I thank all my friends for standing with me when things are low, when things are high, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you so much.
At this time, I would like to bring to the stage our Vice Chair of the PDX Jazz Board, Pancho Savory.
Good evening. So I am here to explain and tell you about the McClendon Makarounis Award for Excellence in Support of Jazz. The award was originally called the McClendon Award, and it was named for Bill McClendon, a Portland Renaissance man. He was a jazz pianist. He owned McClendon's Rhythm Room, which featured such national stars as George Shearing, Oscar Peterson, and Earl Bostic. And Earl Bostic's band featured a young saxophone player who would go on later to some teeny tiny amount of fame named John Coltrane. As he said about owning a jazz club, quote, "Vice could be a virtue. You take from the more than willing customers, you give a little to City Hall, you give out loans to people to help the community, you employ hundreds of people, and you get to play jazz all night long." He was also editor and publisher of the black newspaper, first called the Portland Observer, then the People's Observer, and then the Observer from 1938 to 1950. He was a contributing editor of the Black Scholar, which published his collection of essays, Straight Ahead, in 1995, which I highly recommend to you. He was also helped start the Black Studies program at Reed College. In 1996, the Portland Association of Black Journalists presented him with their annual Lifetime Achievement Award. And he also received in the same year the Black Scholar Lifetime Award for Excellence in Jazz and Culture. And to give you a sense of his voice, he was a really great writer. I just want to read one short paragraph from one of his essays. This is an essay on Frederick Douglass, and I'm choosing this essay because yesterday was the 200th birthday of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a black man, accepted and respected by black people. He was a preceptor and the advocate for millions of blacks who sought and seek liberation. Douglass was the voice and teacher of blackness and the personification of protest and agitation, something we should all remember as we are at the beginning of Black History Month. Last year, the name of the award was changed to the McClendon Makarounis Award, honoring Jimmy Makarounis, whose great contribution to Portland was the sorely missed Jimmy Mac's, Portland's great premier jazz club. And so to present the award this year, please welcome Multnomah County Commissioner for District 2, North and Northeast, Loretta Smith.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening.
Wow. My name is Loretta Smith, and I'm your Multnomah County Commissioner for District 2. And I get to do a lot of good things, opening up homeless shelters, health clinics, putting resources in for summer jobs. But tonight, I get to introduce and give an award to someone who is amazing, outstanding, and great, and loved, and very, very classy. That's Miss Marcia Hocker. Yes. I want to thank all of you for coming this evening and coming out, because this is a very special night. And thank you for asking me to be here to present this award to someone I consider a very, very dear friend. I'm thrilled to be able to present the McClendon Makarounis Jazz Award to Miss Marcia K. Hocker. Yes. She deserves it. Before I give her this award, I want to just take a brief moment to tell you about her impeccable credentials and her dedication and commitment to the PDX Jazz Festival and to this community. Marcia has been an active participant on Portland's prolific jazz scene for over 17 years. She was a volunteer radio host for KMHD radio for more than 11 years. During the time Marcia served, 7 years as the liaison representative for 63 other jazz hosts. During KMHD's transition from Mount Hood Community College to new management at OPB, she was selected from 2,500 radio and television volunteers and presented the distinguished Jan Henderson Award, Oregon Public Broadcasting's highest volunteer award of leadership. Marcia has served as a member on the PDX Jazz Board of Directors since 2011. Her responsibilities include acting as the coordinator of their premier education outreach program, The Incredible Journey of Jazz, now in its 13th year. She is also the past board secretary, and she still serves as MC throughout the festival, and most recently served as the education and community outreach coordinator. As an ambassador of jazz, Marcia speaks at schools and is sought after to MC around Portland and the Oregon area, the coast, and as far away as Arizona for the Illinois Jaquette Foundation. She is fondly known as the voice. That's Marcia. Last summer at the Lasue Chinese Garden, Portland pianist and educator Daryl Grant, he described Marcia as all things jazz, in recognition of all you have done and continue to do and will do in the future, promoting one of America's treasures and their art form that is most privileged to present, the McClendon Makarounis Jazz Award, to a Portland treasure, not just a Portland treasure. Marcia is a national treasure. And my good friend, Miss Marcia Hocker. Congratulations on this award.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, everyone. One of the giants in jazz music was pianist, composer, arranger, Mary Lou Williams, a black woman. A black woman who was invited by the Vatican to compose something special, a jazz mass. Afterwards, she remarked, quote, "Suffering was at the root of the music, and that jazz has always had a spiritual side," unquote. I want to begin by giving thanks and praise to the Almighty Creator, who over these many years has provided me with opportunities and the stamina to make contributions, all the while protecting me as I was oftentimes going 100 miles an hour with the brakes on. To my husband, thank you, George, for your understanding, support, and for being my champion. To the musicians near and far who enrich our lives with their talent and skills, and whether it's a packed house or a light audience, they play their hearts out. I consider it an honor to be part of a dedicated group of volunteers, whether at KMHD, PDX Jazz, or cable community radio, who take pride in performing their responsibilities, and they do it as though they're getting paid the really big bucks. And from this community, I've been blessed with solid relationships that'll last the rest of my life. And finally, to you, our audience, we can't do it without you. And every time you attend a performance, you're investing in something beautiful that was born enjoyed worldwide. In closing, several years ago, after a worship service, a rather tall octogenarian who had moved from Germany about 20 plus years before, still had her accent, came over to me with her eyebrows furrowed and this intense curiosity. And she asked, "Why are you involved with the jazz?" And I replied, "Because in the world of jazz, it doesn't matter if you're tall or short, thin or heavy, black, white, Latin, Asian. They just want an answer to this question. Can you play?" Kurt Elling did a recording where he tells this poetic jazz story about John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman when they made that iconic album. And he ended that sweet story with, "We're jazz people, and for us, it's easy." Thank you, everybody.